Checking now. Alright. Sorry about the audio, guys. I always do that. Anytime I'm like recording something on like music wise, I switch the setting and then it and then I'm talking to no one. But hello everybody. Hope all is well. There we go. Yeah, hope you guys can hear me okay. But yeah, we're definitely going to talk about Austin, Nathan, and hey Brooklyn, hey Angel, hey SLJ. How was your weekends, everybody? Mine was actually pretty good. I got into the Christmas spirit this year. Or this weekend, I should say. Santa Claus arrived at the mall, so I went over there and watched the little mini parade. And then there's a street in Edmonton, 124th Street, where they do like a light up of a big Christmas tree and some lights around it, and have some bands and stuff. So it was cool. And went with my mom and my grandmother, which was really nice. And then tonight, we had a little bit of a bonfire in our backyard. Because this is probably the last decent night for the entire winter. It rained just a few minutes ago, which is unheard of this late in November. But yeah. Without any further ado, welcome to General Hospital Envy, my GH after show. I'm sure all of y'all already know what I want to get into, but I know myself well enough that if we start with it, we're never going to get to the rest of it. So we're going to save Austin for last. Because you know me, I'm going to go on a tangent. A happy one mostly, but also like a rant afterwards. We're going to talk about that possibility if this happens, because I've got a lot to say on that matter, Angel. But yeah, we're going to save that for last though. For now, we're going to start things off with Anna. This week she went to Jordan and Dante in confidence and told them that it was Charlotte who has been stalking her for months, and that Valentine knew about it, but she doesn't want Charlotte prosecuted. Meanwhile, Laura paid Valentine a visit, and Nina was there too. And while she was a little reluctant to talk about Charlotte's situation, Valentine admitted that Nina knew about the whole situation and even got rid of the footage at the Metro Court. So Laura basically tells them how Charlotte told her that Victor is the one that said Anna was a threat, and to look after her father in a letter that he had written for her. So Valentine searches Charlotte's room, finds it, and the three of them read the letter, and they're horrified over what it says, and over his manipulations of her as well. Hey, Kaiwan. It rained here in Kansas City. But yeah, no, Alberta, usually we're full of, like, well, okay, I'll say Edmonton, because I don't know about the rest of Alberta right now. Edmonton is usually riddled with snow at this point, and there is not a drop of snow on the ground right now. All the snow that I had, like, a few weeks back, like, just before Halloween, it's all gone. It left, like, a few weeks ago, which is also unheard of. Actually, it seems like they're getting back together, Kaiwan, so sorry, not sorry. They're just having a good conversation about it. And we'll get into that later. So, where was I, though? Oh, yeah. So, this same week, Anna paid Sunny a visit, and they talked about Charlotte and how she doesn't want her prosecuted, and mentions how she originally thought it was like a past WSB agent Forsyth or Forsyth, whatever his name is, who has every reason to see her as a threat. And he asks her if she still thinks that he could be. So she then goes back to her place for the first time since the shooting and goes through her box of things and realizes that all things Forsyth or Forsyth has mysteriously vanished. And she tells Dante of her discovery. And then while all this is happening, Robert had gone to visit Felicia at GH, and he tells her that he thinks Anna is shutting him out of fear that he'll say, "I told you so," when it comes to Valentine. And Felicia reassures him that it has nothing to do with that, and more so on Anna's principles of needing to figure out the situation for herself. Now, if you've been out of the loop with Felicia and what her character has been up to, she now works at GH as a patient advocate, and during these scenes at GH, we had seen her interacting with a male patient about their insurance at the start of that particular episode, and seen her solidifying the patient's needs by the end of the episode. I believe the character's name was Mr. Williams, I think that's all we know about his name, and it could have been nothing, but for some reason my gut is telling me that guy might actually be Forsyth or Forsyth, because Robert did not see his face. So, I don't know. Like, I'm sus about it. I wouldn't have thought anything of it if they had just, like, opened the episode with that and then not show him again at the ending, but the fact that they did has me slightly sus. Hey, Jakarius, I'm good. No, I do like Spirina. It's just Kaiwan that doesn't. He's the only one. I just don't understand why the WSB agent would play cat and mouse with Anna. Just take her out. Stop playing. I mean, I don't know. Like, we don't know too much about Anna's history with this guy because it was all, you know, off-screen kind of, I don't want to say rewritten history. It's just a part of the history with them that we don't know about. But, you know, it's, maybe they were close friends at one point, but he did some bad stuff and she has the knowledge of it. And when all this stuff about her being a double agent came out, now he's kind of worried but doesn't really want to kill her. So maybe he just wants to give her fair warning. Who knows? We're going to learn more. We're going to learn more in the situation eventually if, you know, they make Forsyth a bigger thing. Why didn't Anna tell Sunny that Nina erased the video? I mean, who knows? Like, it wasn't really necessary to the story. But I think Sunny is smart enough to figure it out, though. And I think that he might question her because he knows that footage was erased, and the person that would have access to it is either Olivia or Nina, and, well, I think Sunny can figure out that Nina would help Valentine over Olivia, so I think he's smart enough to figure it out on his own anyway. And I think Anna probably knows that too. But let's check in, since we're talking about Nina, let's check in with the Quartermaines and, like, their ties to the Nina situation. Now that Ned is back to feeling like himself again, I was so ready for him to remember what Nina did and drag her through the coals, but apparently the writers want to torture us even more for much longer because Olivia stepped in and was like, no, Sunny's happy, Drew's out of prison. This is stupidly out of character for Olivia. Like, she is Carly's best friend, and she has known Sunny since she was a kid. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever that she's taking this stance. At all. Like, this is so out of character, and that's what drives me nuts about these writers. When they want to stretch out a storyline, they end up making characters do things that don't make sense to what the viewers know these characters as. And anyway, Ned also reunites with Brooklyn and Lois as himself, Much to his family's relief, although we haven't seen him with Leo yet, which is a bit weird. I wanted to see how that would go. Like now that Ned is back, like will he be sad that Eddie is gone? You know, because I guess technically Ned has all his memories as Eddie as well, but he's just not that guy. Oh, soaps. He also hasn't seen Drew and Michael yet since getting his memories back as well. And they are planning to take over ELQ because they think that Eddie's playing his guitar, and except Eddie's not here anymore. So that'll be an interesting turn of events as well. Meanwhile, Nina, she's feeling like a sitting duck, with Michael blackmailing her into spending less time with Willow and the kids. She had confronted Martin, her lawyer, when she ran into him at Kelly's and tried to say, if I go down, you're going down with me, because of attorney-client privilege. She tried to throw that in his face. But Martin had told her that Michael already figured out from another connection what she did, and strong-armed him into confirmation of what he already knew. And he would have blackmailed her with or without his confirmation. He probably just would have tried to bring him down more so as well. So Nina decides to basically play Michael's game, essentially, and makes an offer to Carly to give her the MetroCorp back, or to sell it back to her, which Carly is automatically suspicious of, because of course she is, and she asks Sonny about it, who was clearly in the dark. Sonny confronts Nina later on at the MetroCorp, and she covers for herself almost masterfully, and he's not really thinking anything of it. Now Carly, she tells Michael and Willow about the offer and admits she's torn because she loves Kelly's, and she even thinks it's a better fit for her, which I don't see how she thinks that. But it is what it is. And Michael, he offers to buy it back and gift it for her. But Carly says it won't feel right if she doesn't earn it back herself. How she's going to do that, I have no idea. It's funny though, because Michael, like at this moment, he can't even hide his disdain for Nina from Willow. Earlier, we had seen Michael and Willow discussing it because she pegged him for it. And in Willow's eyes, Nina has changed because she's unaware of this, situation with Carly and Drew and what she did. And believes that she is making an effort. I mean, I just want to look at Michael and be like, bro, if you had just been honest with her, she would know better. Like, it's just a struggle, y'all. It's a struggle. Oh my, Timothy! Did y'all see what Timothy just wrote? Timothy wrote, did you hear the rumor Roger Howarth is coming back as the new and final Molly? I'd believe it. I believe that they would make Roger Howarth Molly before letting him go for sure. Oh, man. But anyway, again, in terms of Nina, you guys know I have no dog in this fight. I don't like Nina or Carly. But one of these days, keeping this secret from Willow and Carly is going to bite Michael in the ass, and he'll deserve it. He'll deserve it. I guess my dog in this fight is I want Michael to lose. I want Michael to lose everything. Oh, Angel says, now Timothy. Sorry, Kaiwan, I don't know what you mean. That's a fabulous joke. I agree, that's a good one. I agree. Since we're talking about Molly, let's get into hers and TJ's storyline this week. Now, we already did touch a little bit on this on Wednesday, but just to recap, Molly and TJ's surrogate Andrea lost the baby. It brought a great performance by Taj Below, and I was looking forward to seeing how the actress that currently plays Molly, not Roger Howarth, does with it. And I gotta admit, I wasn't all that impressed. She didn't move me even slightly. Taj I could see like his acting really felt authentic. I wasn't super moved, but I think that he did what he was supposed to do, and I felt like the actress who played Molly didn't really sell her grief of it too much for me. I guess it could be hard to sell an emotional moment like that for maybe the actress, because so many different Mollys being part of the first portion of the story, you know, kind of was there for it, and she kind of came in right as Andrea got pregnant. And also, like, most of this story of them, like, getting to get excited for the baby and all that, like, it's happened off screen. So even for me as a viewer, it's hard for me to, like, feel much, you know what I mean? But I think that Taj did a good job at, like, being like, hey, this is really sad for my character. But again, it's hard to invest in a storyline that we never see. Anyway, Alexis, she had visited Molly just after she found out. She didn't know, but she just happened to stop by because Molly had forgotten her tablet at the Metrocourt. And then, you know, obviously Molly's devastated. Alexis is comforting her, and Molly asks her to tell Christina and Sam because she doesn't think that she can face them right now. But she does want them to know. Christina, we haven't seen her since, you know, this came out, but she's definitely going to end up being the surrogate because Kate Mansi, bless her soul, this actress that plays Christina, she said as much in an interview that she was going to be the surrogate when she did her interview on Stephen Bradford's podcast. Wait until she feels the wrath of Frank Valentini, because he does not like when spoilers are spilled. Although, to be fair, the writers don't seem very invested in the story to begin with, so maybe he won't care either. Oh, do you feel like they want to make them background characters again? Honestly, it certainly feels that way. Like, they brought on this new Molly as if she was going to get story, but, like, you know, it just ain't working. And I think a big part of that is that because there's been so many Mollys, it's one of those things where it's like, it's been a disaster. And it's, you know, essentially it's none of the writers' fault on that matter that they've had to kind of, like, you know, kind of shuffle actresses along to play her. But it was such a bizarre storyline to give that couple to begin with. And I think they really wanted to give Christina a story since they replaced her with an actress that either could commit more than Lexi could, or they just wanted to write for because of maybe her popularity on other shows. I don't really know. Hard to say. DG, you said, as much as I hate Chad Duell as Michael, I love the blackmail angle. At least now the character has some balls. I hope Frank comes to his senses and ends this surrogacy story. Next, I hope he sends Molly away, and soon TJ can get a new love end story. Taj below deserves better than this drivel. Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, I don't know about Molly being sent away or them breaking up or whatever, but Taj is an asset to the show in my opinion. I think he's a great actor. And I think that they need to maybe focus more on him as his own character. Because what I found, as soon as they put him on contract, he's obviously been seen a lot more. And they have a lot of him in GH. And I think that Taj has the potential to be, like, in the realm of, like, Patrick Drake, where, like, they give him hospital storylines and he's kind of, like, a staple in the hospital. Not that I think that he'd reach, you know, the realms of, like, Steve and Alan, you know what I mean? But, like, it's been a long time since GH has had, like, a main doctor to kind of, like, center things within the hospital. Not necessarily make the hospital the center of the show, though it should be. But at least when they show the hospital, have him be a presence there, you know? Kate dropping spoilers like it isn't nothing. Exactly. So So now Christina will be the surrogate. Give me a break. Since Christina is gay, shouldn't Molly be her surrogate? Christina's not gay though. She's bisexual or like pansexual. She's into men and women. Yeah, she's into men and women. But she didn't bang Ethan. She just liked him. But she's had boyfriends. And she's had girlfriends. Therefore bisexual. At least this Molly is age appropriate because Molly number 3, y'all. DG said Kate was obviously hired because of her popularity on days. I'm sure Frank is paying her a pretty penny. He can't just leave her on the back burner. Yeah, that's true. Christina never got together with Ethan. I would have loved Christina and Ethan though. Now, obviously back then Lexi was underage, but like they had good chemistry. And, you know, she did grow up, and while she still looks very youthful, Lexi and Nathan, I think, would have made a cute couple on screen. Sorry, what do you mean, Kaiwan? DG said Taj is excellent and he's a total hunk. I really wish he would have been cast as Stephen Audrey's long-lost grandson from Tom and Simone. Oh my god, I forgot about those characters. We should react to some of their scenes sometimes. He's a bit young, but that would be great. Yeah, like, it would be great to tie him to some legacy characters like that. But, you know, it's too late. And it's not to say that TJ doesn't have to be wasted just because he's not related to these people. They could write for him. They could write some great stories within the hospital for him, and even out of the hospital for him. Just like they did Patrick and Jason Thompson. They just, I don't know. I just wish that they would commit more to him. Christina and Ethan would have looked so awkward. Lexi got that I look young gene from like me. I miss the words. Oh, I miss the words too. Bring back Maya. Let's bring back Maya. She's Q and Ward. Alright, moving on though. Let's talk about Gregory and Chase because it's short and sweet. You know, speaking of storylines that people don't really care about. They were on for like a minute to remind us that the ALS storyline is still going on. And apparently Gregory had a fall and didn't disclose that information with his boys. And he opens up about how bitter he is that his body has failed him this hard, which is a very realistic take. I feel like if I had it, I would spend probably the rest of my life resenting all of it. I wouldn't be able to stay positive. I'd be blaming my body, blaming God, blaming anyone I could blame. And frankly, I don't even know if I'd want to live to ride out that situation myself. So it makes me wonder if they're going to kind of take a controversial road and talk about like assisted suicide when it comes to the point where he can't do anything for himself anymore. That's what I'm curious about that. Like, do you think that I don't know, that would be like such a dangerous topic, but I don't know. I just personally don't want to see all the suffering and see it drag out for a long time. And you know it will. Like, it does take a long time to, like, you know, get to that point where you're on death's door with it. So, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, TJ should be having an affair with Willow? I forgot that Nina had thought that once. But no. I mean, TJ would be a better fit for Willow. But I just want Willow to just break up with Michael and then maybe date TJ. Like, none of this affair shit. Let them just get together, like, naturally. DG says, it's depressing enough for me to see Gregory Harrison this old. It seems like only yesterday he was the young hunk on Chapper John MD in the 80s. I don't want to see him with a terminal illness storyline. Well, A, everyone ages. We're all going to get there. But B, I mean, I can't relate. I didn't see him in shows when he was younger. Maybe I have. but I don't know. Nina grasping at straws. Mm-hmm. Alright, let's move on though. Let's talk about Adam. This dude is on full freakout mode about his finals. And when Jocelyn says that she can't be his study partner anymore, he did not take it well. He, even grabbing her at one point, pleading for her to keep helping him. And Dex had walked in on that and shoved him out of the way. But Joss, like, she feels sorry for him and gives Dex some insight on what he's been dealing with. But when we see him in his room later, we learn that this goes far deeper than just having really strict parents. Dude seems to be hooked on pills of some sort, and the scenes also implied that perhaps his parents were aware of his addiction and asking him about it, because we hear him say, "I don't do that stuff no more," as he's like looking at the pills. Now, initially I wasn't too interested in the story because I kind of have this twinge of cringe knowing that he was hired because he's Maurice Benard's son. Not that he doesn't have talent of his own. I think he's a good actor. He ain't doing such a bad job. But I can't help but ask myself if this story would even be a thing if he wasn't Maurice Benard's son that just happened to get hired. Like, were they looking for an Adam? I feel like they weren't looking for an Adam to do the storyline. I feel like they weren't going to do the storyline if like that behind the scenes angle wasn't a part of it. But even I'll admit that it's kind of nice to see Jocelyn, doing something besides, well, Dex. And giving the young adult a story that's relatable to young adults in school as well. DG said, As the World Turns did a great euthanasia story in a situation like Greg's, but was written by Doug Marland. I don't Kristen Dan to do a good mercy killing story. Ooh, I didn't know that they did that. I barely watched, I've only seen clips of As the World Turns when it was on. And only, like, the scenes with the gay couple, and I can't even remember their name now. But, like, their first gay couple on the show. Adam is giving me... He will unalive himself. Yikes. Thank you for mentioning the nepotism. If it wasn't for Maurice, he wouldn't be there, and this story was created for him. I bet anything next to my life. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. It sucks because, like, he seems to be a decent actor. So I can't completely hate it, but I just hate that he wouldn't have been hired if he wasn't Maurice's son, most likely, They're giving him a chance to, work his acting muscles, and I think that he's doing a good job. It's just, the behind-the-scenes stuff makes me cringe a little bit. Yeah, they're not going to put Trina and Adam together. Yeah, now that you mention it, DG, William Lipton was supposed to return. I wonder what happened with that. Because, like, they mentioned that he was going to come back in the fall, and now we're, like, almost at December here. But now Adam is crowding the canvas. True. Alright. Now let's talk about the other... since I mentioned, like, teen story, or, like, young adults getting young adult type of storyline, the other half is that we have this other storyline going on with the young teen scene or young adult crowd, where you got a girl working at an art gallery, falling in love with a really rich prince whose ex that once tortured this guy, or once tortured this guy's current girlfriend, is basically causing problems because she has no memories, and she also has a baby belonging to this guy's father. And he's trying to raise his kid because his dad's a deadbeat, hiding somewhere in Europe. Like, it doesn't get much more soapy than that. In college. Yeah, my bad. Sorry guys, my allergies are bothering me a little bit. But yeah, so Trina and Spencer and Esme, their crazy, very soapy storyline aside, we got some great scenes between Spencer and Jocelyn out of it. Because he's trying to woo Trina back. He bought all these gifts and he goes to the dorms, probably to see Trina, and she's not there. Jocelyn is kind of like giggling because she's like, I need you to see this for yourself to look how ridiculous this looks. But Jocelyn actually sits him down and talks to him as a friend, which is like, I think the first time that we've seen her not be an asshole to him. And she just tells it like it is for him, but in like a way that's trying to be understanding to where he's coming from, but also trying to make him see that this, what he's wanting from the situation, is not fair to Trina. And she even goes out of her way to say that it's not fair to Esme if she ever wants to move on as well. So I don't know, I just really appreciated finally Jocelyn coming at him as his friend and getting to see that she does genuinely care about him and not just saying that she does because they've known each other for so long. Because that girl shits on Spencer every chance that she gets. And it's not that Spencer doesn't deserve it, but it's nice to finally see her act like a friend to Spencer instead of just acting like she mildly tolerates him. What are y'all saying? For his sake, I hope William gets another good job or his music is taking off and he's touring or something. GH had the tendency to backburn Cam and make him sappy. Will deserves better. That's true. Also, Trina, while Jocelyn was having conversations with Spencer, Trina was having conversations first with Ava, which we talked about earlier this week, but also with Curtis and Marshall, and they gave her some perspective as well. And I feel like they might be able to get over this hurdle if the two of them are willing to discuss the situation like adults. Mind you, even if they do resolve this sort of speed bump, we know what's happening with Nicholas behind the scenes. So, it's hard to say what will happen, but time will tell. What are y'all saying? So many people resent Jocelyn, but I love her. She always tells a cold hard truth, and Tina McCoy is a great actress. She reminds me a bit of Jeannie Francis when she was that age. I like Eden, and I just feel like what I don't like is that Jocelyn's always really not nice at all to Spencer, but like acts like she's his friend, and I've just never seen her be friendly towards him. So I like that they're like kind of letting her be his supportive friend and showing that like, yeah, she loves Trina, but she loves Spencer too, and she wants to be there for both of them and help them sort this out and help Spencer see that he's not being fair to Trina and that he's not being fair to Esme or Ace either. So, she's telling him, you can't always get your way. You're trying to act like you can get your way like you were when you were a kid. But you're an adult now, Spencer. It's time for you to grow up. Like, you need to realize that you need to make some sort of compromise if you want to keep all these people in your life. She points out that Esme's not going anywhere. She's not leaving town. She doesn't have to he doesn't have to just see Ace on weekends either. He can make time for him every day if he wants to. He does not have to live with her. And I think, Jocelyn's just trying to make him see that. And I hope that he does, because it's true. Like, just because you're not living with Ace anymore doesn't mean that you'll be out of his life. Trina can't understand that Spencer has to protect his baby brother. His mom was a sociopath, and Spencer's side of this family is even worse. Trina's jealousy is believable, but it's too much, in my opinion. I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, like, Spencer admitted that he knows that Esme is a good mom and that she's changed. So that doesn't seem to be a factor anymore for Spencer. Like, yeah, he's going to be on alert, but at the same time, like, he knows that she's a good mom, and he's I think he's really coming from the angle that he doesn't want Ace to feel abandoned like he did from his own father. He wants Ace to have a father figure in his life. And again, I think that he can still do that even if he's not living with Esme and Ace. Because we've seen other characters on the show be father figures to these kids that don't live with them already. And these are grown-ass people. You know what I mean? So, it's like Spencer can do that too. But alright, guys. It's the moment we've been waiting for. Let's talk about Austin. This man finally pays Ava a visit, and she rips him a new one over not telling her that Cyrus was his boss and trying to play the victim. He mentions that Cyrus forced him to basically forced him to help him get out of jail by grabbing Ava, using his feelings for her against him, and that Cyrus gave the order to let her go before Mason decided to go rogue and try to kill her, saying, he did what he could to save her. But she points out that he could have gone to Sonny, he could have gone to the police, and to basically take his apology and shove it. She just screamed, "Get out," over and over again, and he was like, "I'm sorry." And that's when Austin decides to, you know what, I'll prove that I'm decent. I'm going to go to the PCPD and tell them who I'm working for to prove that I'm not the bad guy here. Except he's asking for a deal, like a plea deal, so he can walk away scot-free from his roles in what Cyrus has done. Dante needs something besides Austin's word to back it up, though. He didn't admit that Cyrus is his boss yet, by the way. He's saying that he will give the name for a plea. And Dante's saying, well, give us evidence when you give us his name. So Austin goes back to his place to get this so-called evidence. But someone is waiting for him at his house, and whoever it was fires off 2 gunshots. Next thing you know, we see Austin's bleeding, lifeless body on the floor. Now, I suppose that we don't have full-on confirmation that he's dead, but he looked pretty dead to me, and in the preview, it's another day, meaning it's very possible that no one has discovered his bleeding body yet. So it seems probable. Now, I will be forever grateful if this failure of a character is truly dead. And if he is, I will be even more grateful if they don't bring back Roger Howarth again, because I'm tired. I'm tired, y'all. I am not willing to go round number 3 of them trying to give him another new character, having him get passed around the cast like a hot potato, trying to make him interesting and hoping that something sticks to make him interesting. Or, for him to resonate with the audience in some sort of way. Because he's best buds with Frank Valentini. I'm over it. I'm so over it, you guys. TG said, I've been Googling trying to find out if Roger is out for good. Can't find anything yet. I hope it's done. I'm tired of Roger on the show. Me too. I love him as an actor, but I've had enough. Time to move on. You think it's Julian that killed him? Why would he, though? Oh, I guess because Ava. Austin getting shot reminded me much about Franco, eerily. Supposedly lifeless. Hopefully lifeless. Diana Taylor's dead body laid on that floor in the kitchen for an entire week in real time. And show time it was just one night. Nathan used to have heard from an insider source that Austin is dead and RH exited GH. Let's hope. Amen. No more characters for Roger. And thank you, Dion. Nathan, where'd you find that? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna wait to see what happens. Honestly, I'm not gonna believe any rumors because there's so much things flying around out there. But to that end, I don't think any of us seen the fact that that Franco was dying coming. Whoever shot Austin, he knew them. Yeah, Austin recognized who was there. So the question is, who done it? But yeah, so I'm gonna say something controversial about Roger Howarth here, and far be it for actor bashing, but for me personally, this man is so overrated as an actor. He has basically been playing like slightly less interesting versions of Todd every time they've brought him back. And to me, that tells me that he's a one-trick pony. Like, show me a character of his on any show, anywhere, that was as compelling as Todd Manning. That's absolutely nothing like that character. Like, that's completely different. Show me a Roger Howarth fan that has examples of his great work that has nothing to do with Todd Manning, because I've never met or heard anything from a Roger Howarth fan praising him for his other work as other characters, just Todd Manning. They are Todd Manning fans. Let's be real, they are Todd Manning fans. He played that role great. What other roles has he played great that have no ties to GH? Name one. Please. I insist. DG said Roger posted a cryptic video on Twitter. He just said that he enjoyed his time on GH and that's it. It sounded like he was saying goodbye. I hope so. What happened to the cousin? I didn't watch every episode this week. He basically pleaded guilty off screen, and he's already done. If you're talking about Mason. Nathan said, but I do agree, Roger Howarth should not come back to back if GH offered him a new role. If he does, then it looks bad on both him and the show, sadly. It looked bad the first 2 times. I mean, I get that they had to kind of bring Roger back the first time because of the lawsuit, and they had a contract to fulfill. So he had to play someone on the show, even though he couldn't play Todd. But the mistake was making him Franco, in my opinion. And we also heard Roger say that Ron and Frank told him to play Franco like Todd. So we know that, like, he tried to play him as Todd. And I don't know if they said the same thing for Austin, but he's still very much like Todd. Hey, Don. Been so long. Welcome back. I hope you've been well. Paul Ryan on As a World Turn, which he did very well on. But see, we got someone else saying that he was just like Todd too. So, I don't know. And here's the thing, like, we have seen actors on the show, several actors, play multiple characters on the show so many times. And I have so many examples of actors who made 2 characters seem like night and day. Anna and Alex, Nicholas and Connor, Claudia and Carly, and of course, Ryan Chamberlain and Kevin Collins. Their characters are so different from each other. Like, the nuances that they give them, there's such subtle differences. They could do like a little blip and you're like, no, wait, like, because with Anna and Alex and Ryan and Kevin, they were in situations where their characters were swapped out. And with Anna and Alex, the swap happened off screen. But I think a lot of us at the time caught that when Finola Hughes came back, even though they didn't really kind of let us in on it, like with what they're saying on screen, Finola played Alex just different enough, even though Alex was impersonating Anna, that we could tell that something was off. And I think a lot of us were like, I bet you anything that's Alex. This isn't Anna. And there was like next to no, like she didn't say anything to any characters that made us sus. It was just in how she played her. And that is how an actor should be, you know, able to play dueling characters or dual roles or different roles on the same show, even if they're happening one after another and not meeting on screen. So, you know, to me, Roger ain't it. He doesn't strike me as an actor who knows how to play any kind of different role. And to that, I go back to when they made him like this Franco and Drew hybrid character, and he gave Drew, for whatever reason, this really stupid like southern accent that he couldn't even hold when he was playing this guy. He was drifting in and out of that accent. So like, I don't know. I'm just observing what I see. I'm just observing what I see, y'all. And I'm sorry. I like, even Michael Easton. I may not like all of the characters that he's played, but there are some major differences between John McBain and of course Caleb Morley and Silas Clay and Finn. Their characters are all so different from each other, and he plays them very differently from each other. Like I don't see John McBain when I'm looking at Finn, and you know, I don't see any of Michael's other characters when I've seen him as Caleb Morley. So, you know, like, to me, it's maybe Roger is a one-trick pony. Just to bring that back full circle. Like, I just, you know, I just don't see the greatness that people claim that there is. And I think that a lot of people are kidding themselves when they talk about his greatness because they enjoyed him as Todd so much. But it's not like he has this long list of characters that were vastly different from each other that shows, wow, he can do whatever. Like, it doesn't, you know, I mean, the thing is, what I do know about Todd is that his character has had a lot of, I don't know, a lot of backstory, essentially. They've had his character do vile things and made him seem very heroic. And so he can play the hero and he can play a bad guy in one character. But to that end, give him a new character to play and you realize it's the same thing no matter what character he's playing. So then it very much feels the same. You know what I mean? Like, because Franco, or who they tried to make Franco be once Roger took over the role, had the same exact qualities as Todd, in the sense that he was a bad guy who did vile things, and he's proven that he can be a romantic love interest and a hero in some cases, but just like Todd. And it was like watching Todd under a new name. And then we have Austin, who they're also trying to do the exact same thing with, giving him a character who's done good things and can be a hero, but bad things and can be a villain. It's just the same character over and over, and the characters that he's playing are just getting less and less interesting because there's no investment. There's, you know, like, they don't keep him with anybody long enough to flesh the character out. Andrew said, I think that's more of the writer's fault. They want a Todd character, but they can do Todd. I don't think it's a Roger thing. He's a bit different on The Flash, but he still had the very sense of humor and wit. I gotta turn Frank going to Todd Manning for a while. What's so ironic is that ABC has the rights to All My Children and One Life to Live, so GH could have just had Roger Howarth play Todd Manning. Yeah, but I think that GH is wary of bringing on other past soaps characters full time, because at any point someone could just make a spin-off and ask for Todd back, and then they'll have to pay attention to what's going on One Life to Live, or the spin-off if they make one, and tie in his story on GH into that in some way. So I think that they're very wary of bringing on like former characters from other soaps in a full-time capacity, just in case it can open them out into some kind of lawsuit in the future, which I think every show kind of has the right to do. Well, Donnie said, been crazy. I'm a grandma. You're a grandma now. Congratulations. Stuff has gone down. You'll have to elaborate that. Aw. Tell Mary I say hi too. I miss y'all. But yeah, congrats on the grandchild. They should have kept Franco gone after James left. I agree. It was a stupid mistake. And I could never accept him with Liz either. I know they had their fan base. I wasn't a part of it. The writers never knew what to do with Roger. Roger could have played so many characters tied to GH history. Stephen Lars, perhaps Rick Weber Jr. Would have preferred him to be a Cassadine. They could have made him Valentine. I would have preferred him to be a Cassadine. I agree, Easton has done a great job. DG said, I agree, Dion, but Todd Manning was an almost Luke Spencer level iconic character on One Life to Live. He was so notorious, it's hard for Roger not to be typecast. That's true, but, you know, like, even Tony Geary played a different character on GH, and he did a good job at making them different from each other, especially in the 90s. So, like, in the late 90s when, like, they were bringing Luke back, you could see, just even in the way that he spoke, like, Tony did a great job at making the characters very different. And I guess we can't really see. I mean, it's weird with Roger because Todd was not a GH character. He was just on GH. So, as a GH viewer who didn't really watch One Life to Live at all, it wasn't really special for him to be on the show. And while he was iconic on One Life to Live, that does not mean he was like that iconicness carried over into GH, because there is a large chunk of viewers that never watched One Life to Live. Really, essentially, One Life's fan base came over to GH because of the One Life characters, and probably barely watched GH themselves, you know what I mean? Not saying that's true for everyone. I'm sure that there were people that watched all of the soaps, but there was also people that didn't. So people had their preferences. I had my preferences. Even my grandmother had her preferences. My mom as well. So we were all GHers. To advantage of One Life to Live. I really miss it. I don't know. I just I didn't see the appeal for it. And I think back, like, the times where I would slightly pay attention to the other soaps is during sweeps months, because they all kind of had their like big, larger than life storylines in a certain era, like mid 2000s. They all kind of had their big ones all at the same time, and I would try to watch. And for me, anyway, I felt like All My Children did a better job kind of like making me want to pay attention than One Life to Live did. So, like, One Life to Live always seemed a bit cringy to me, in terms of, like, the storytelling, and even some of the acting I found was, like, kind of cringe. Not that All My Children didn't also have, like, cringy acting as well, but their storylines were at least more appealing to me. And even characters that I weren't aware, like, here's an example, for All My Children, they brought back their big super couple, right? And I paid attention, because I was like, wow, like, this is their sort of Luke and Laura. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name of that couple, Angie and Jesse. And I felt that they wrote them quite well for their comeback. And I did watch some of it because of that. And I did stay hooked for a little bit on Angie and Jesse's story. and even look back at their history. But I just couldn't stay with it. I just couldn't stay with the show. I lost interest as well. DG said, I loved Roger on One Life, but I didn't care for him being on GH playing the same character. To make things worse, Frank didn't have the nerve to actually have Todd go against Sonny and actually win. GH was the best ABC, of the ABC subs. One Life to Live's best time was in the late 70s and mid 80s and early 90s. One Life always lagged behind both AMC and GH in the ratings, but it was must-see TV from around that to 1980 with Karen Bullock and Marco Dane. Yeah, I think all the soaps at one point or another each had their prime where it was like fantastic for the viewers, and a lot of these shows are past that prime, unfortunately. But I don't know. Sandy said, I would love to see Angie and Jesse on GH. I wouldn't. See, here's the thing. I think each of these soaps were probably, and I think you guys that did watch all the soaps can attest to this, were all very different from each other, right? Like GH, All My Children, and One Life to Live weren't really similar to each other. They all had their own sort of vibes. And so when Ron and Frank decided to bring 3 One Life to Live characters onto GH, like, their characters did not really mesh all that well with the cast, and they really had to start writing GH like One Life to Live in order to make them fit in more. And it was, for me, it made GH almost unbearable. Like, like the 50th year, they kind of had the distraction of like bringing back literally everyone for that time frame, so there was a lot to kind of ignore. But once that ride was over and GH only had sort of like its own current present day writing to sort of rely on, they were really trying to make it like One Life to Live, and a lot of characters were being written out of character just to make certain storylines work. And we've had this conversation before. But that's, I think, what, in the end, what got Ron fired and seemingly hated by some of the writers on the show. Or, sorry, some of the actors on the show. Certainly the fans, too. What are y'all saying? It wasn't fair of Frank to bring One Life to Live characters on GH because it was a distraction from GH on the show. Didn't have the budget or time to pick up with the One Life to Live characters' old stories. And yeah, that's the thing too, like, and to that end, Frank and Ron were, they came to GH as soon as One Life to Live was canceled, right? So it just kind of felt like these two guys did not want to do GH. They wanted to do One Life to Live, and their way of doing it was to bring on One Life to Live characters and try to turn GH into a hybrid soap and of like One Life to Live and GH. And they can babble on about how they wanted it to be all 3 soaps, but where was All My Children among it? It wasn't anywhere. They wanted to write for One Life to Live and carry it onto GH, and we kept on seeing them bring more and more characters from One Life to Live, making guest appearances, and those guest appearances were becoming longer and longer, and GH's cast was being shoved out to the side. And I had a lot of resentment because of that. Because I was like, those shows got canceled. This is GH. Keep it off of our show. Like, that was my stance. Yeah, their hearts were still obviously with One Life to Live, and GH suffered for it. That was the problem. And it got to a point where GH became unrecognizable. So, I think in the end they learned the hard way that just wasn't going to work for GH anymore. All right, but yeah, let's end my tangent now, just so we can wrap things up. Going back to the story aspect of Austin. who do you guys think did it? The easy answer is Cyrus. I mean, I'm sure he has people in the PCPD spying on people for him. Cyrus does give himself an easy alibi because he had gone to visit the mayor, Laura, his sister, to talk about his role as a dishwasher at the PC Grill. Laura also, by the way, even seems to be starting to buy his changed man stance and act. Lord, please do not make Laura dumb in all of this, because even Jordan was like, yeah, no, this man can't be trusted, Laura. He has a hunger for power, and it's obvious. Like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing from Laura. It just, I don't know. Hopefully when she sees Austin dead, which I'm assuming he's going to be dead. Here's hoping. That she'll change her stance pretty quickly. Come on, you think it's Julian? I don't know. I think it is Cyrus. Or yeah, well, I don't know if it's necessarily a henchman, DG, but it's obviously someone that. Well, I mean, I guess it would have to be in some sense or in some extent, but it's obviously someone that Austin knows. Not necessarily someone that we know, though. So I think, it could go in line. Austin would obviously know Cyrus's people. So we'll see. Oh, Laura's off her rocker, not a good look for the character. Agreed. What are they doing with Laura these days? I don't like where the writing is going with her. Yeah, me neither. This reminds me of who shot JR, and now I'm wondering who shot Austin. Somebody Austin knew. Yeah, somebody Austin knew, but that could easily just be one of Cyrus's henchmen that Austin knew. Because he worked with Cyrus. He knows people. Some people are speculating that it's Nicholas. I don't think it is. Because Nicholas... I think people are arguing, like, well, he did it for Ava. Nicholas cannot stand Ava. Nicholas hates Ava now. Because in his mind, she ruined what little of a relationship Spencer had with Nicholas. So, I don't know. But yeah, that's really all she wrote, you guys. It was kind of a boring week, apart from the cliffhanger, obviously, of Austin dying. Didn't expect it. Thrilled about it. I've been wanting Austin gone for a long time. I've been over Austin for a long time. Because, he's been getting the same treatment as the Franco character did in his beginning of his tenor. And I don't want to see that dragging on and on and on and on again for a character that isn't resonating. And it's even harder because... at least with Franco, it was a character that had a history. Austin does not have history on the show, and they've been wishy-washy with who they want this character to be. So, I just think it's time to cut the losses, cut Roger off, Good luck to you if they did let you go, man. I just find you a show that isn't going to try to bring you on as Todd 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0, and whatever, Yeah, Nicholas has no reason to kill Austin. You're right. And he's off the canvas, and he'll probably stay that way for a while. Well, they gotta bring him back eventually, and I think that they will. I just don't know who's gonna play him. Time will tell. That's what I always say, time will tell with this show. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the live stream, you guys. It was a lot of fun. Tune in Wednesday. We're going to be live streaming again. I don't know if we're going to react to stuff or if we're just going to check in. We'll see. I wish Michael Easton was next. I'm tired too. I'm not a big fan of Finn, but at least they're keeping him a consistent character within himself. He hasn't really been bounced around the canvas like Roger Haller's characters have. So as long as he's staying in his lane and they're not really rewriting anything with what we do know about the character, I'm okay with him being on. It gives Elizabeth a relationship. It's not really... I don't know. It's not doing anything to make the show bad. You know what I mean? They're just there. And they have their base, and some people like them, some people don't. I'm neither here nor there with them, so I don't have an issue. It's just the issue of bringing Roger on as these characters and like realizing that he's not resonating with the audience in any kind of way, and keeping him around anyway and just trying something else. Like, end it. Aw, thanks, Sandy. Yeah, hit thumbs up if you like the live stream, you guys. I'd appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already done so already. I'd really appreciate that too. And I will catch you guys this Wednesday. Have a good night. Enjoy your weeks. We'll see you on Wednesday. Good night. Mwah.